Money Talk Viewpoint. I'm Chantel Leeson, your host. We are the online talk show, and also we're actually a virtual, I'm going to say we're like a virtual resource library for financial investors, for high net worth, ultra high net worth, family office, and family-owned businesses. And I consider it a resource library because many people, when they are looking for ideas to invest their money, particularly family-owned businesses and high net worth investors, they want to give a little information first. And sometimes they want more than what they're being told by their local advisor. They want to have an objective way of looking at things. Anyway, I interview people all around the world and around the country. And today I have a special guest. He was here. He's from a return visit from a couple of weeks back. This is Dr. Victor Chuwuemeka, and he's an economist from the United Kingdom. And I'm going to turn it over to him. And we talked a lot about a lot of things. How are you, by the way?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Very well, thank you.
I'm going to let you just take the stage here and tell us about what you do.
Yes, well, I run a company called Affluent Asset Analytics. As you say, we help family offices, high net worth individuals, etc., to invest their funds in real estate, be they physical properties or on the stock exchanges. And these are mainly in 4 different parts. The majority of them are retail outlets, offices, and industrial warehouses. We do a few hotels as well. So what we do is to forecast growth. I've been in this business for quite some time now. So we forecast growth through rental growth and income yields, and we determine what the long-term, medium-term, and short-term forecast will be for our investors. So they have diverse portfolios and assets, and they want to know where they're going to invest their funds. And I produce this research for them. And not only that, but I make sure that I fully explain why I think, for example, Lithuanian warehouses might be a good investment vis-a-vis, I don't know, Slovakian hotels, for example, so that it helps them diversify their portfolios and get the best out of their funding. And that's generally what I do. So part of that work also is looking at the green aspect of real estate funding, because that's now become a major thing now. People want to invest in green buildings around the world, and that's becoming very, very big now. And I do concentrate a lot of my efforts on the green aspects of that, because if we're going to reach net zero, as you know, in this country by 2050, we're going to have everything, whether it's car emissions, whether it's housing, whatever it is. Everybody has to pull together towards that end. And those actual assets at the moment are proving to be quite valuable, and people are wanting to know about those kind of things. So I go around the world looking to see where the growth areas are in those kind of real estate markets, and provide that kind of information to the investors, and they're quite happy to get that kind of information. The other bits of my work also is looking at economic shocks. Now, economic shocks are one of my, I would say, my main forte as far as economics is concerned, but I have transferred this into real estate. What people want to know is, when there's an economic shock, what's going to happen to their real estate and portfolios, their investments. So if, for example, there's it could be a small economic shock, like a money supply shock, for example. How's that going to affect real estate prices in, I don't know, rental growth rates for retail outlets, for example, in the United States? Let's say the Fed increases rates. What might happen to the retail sector? Is that going to be more valuable? Are people going to be more online or more in the retail outlets? All these things really matter, and people want to know how these shocks are going to affect the real estate market. And my sort of premise for economic shocks was when I was a very, very young boy. I started to look at the euro when the euro was touted as being the in thing in 1999. I did promise myself that I was going to study a PhD and make sure that I explained to people that this wasn't such a good idea, because when economic shocks happen, it's going to make certain countries rigid and others more flexible. And I couldn't see how 2 different countries were going to align themselves together, having one single currency and one interest rate. So I made that my thing, and I've now transferred this thing into something that I've also proven, because look at Europe now, it's very much more rigid than it was before the euro. But I've also transferred it into my real estate sort of investment strategies, where I make sure people want to know what's going to happen when an economic shock happens, what's going to happen to their portfolio. And I use something, I won't bore people with it, something called orthogonalized impulse response functions. Forget about that. All you need to know is what will happen to your real estate portfolio if economic shocks happen, and they happen all the time. So it's very valuable information for the clients.
And we call it market correction here.
All right, something good.
You're calling economic shock, you call it market corrections here. What do you think interest rates, now I know interest rates affect everything. Correct. Interest rates affect your ability to buy real estate. And I want to look at real estate. How do these interest rates affect? Two questions. One, where do you think interest rates are going to go? And what's the impact on the affluent investor? Because see, they're the ones that invest in properties that are mega-sized structures.